Yo guys, TheLQ-Gaming here, and today I'm going to talk to you about DC Universe Online and specifically Quantum Battle Controller. A lot of the battle controller videos I've seen online recently, there's been a few, mainly focused on gadgets battle control. The other controllers can do it as well. There are pros and cons to each. Personally today, because my main is Lord Quantum and I am Quantum as my main, I want to focus on Quantum Battle Controller. And I want to share with you my spec, my loadout, my gear, and my rotations as well. Before I continue, shout out to ObsidianChill. ObsidianChill is a very knowledgeable player, YouTuber who plays DC Universe Online. He done a few videos recently about battle controlling, so I will link those in the description and give him a shout out. I also want to shout out to Ydra. Ydra is a very experienced controller on the EU side, one of the best controllers on the server arguably. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He's given me some advice as well, so a shout out to Ydra as well. So first of all, Quantum, I'll go to my spec. Weapons, you want to have dual wield. That's, you know, dual wield is very much a given weapon at the moment for precision damage, so you want to have that fully done, including the weapon masteries, the flurry shot and the explosive shot, and you want to have all your bow mastery unlocked as well on this side. Next, for super speeds, you just want your speed force. That's just for moving around quicker. Super speed is generally preferred. You can be other movement modes as well, but super speed's better in certain situations if you need certain kind of powers in your loadout. I'll get onto that on another time now. Iconic powers, you definitely want Amazonian Defection. If you're running survival mode at the moment, it's a 4-man survival mode, and you get to around 26 with Black Manta, his heat vision will probably one-shot you if you don't have Amazonian Defection in your loadout, so you'll need that absolutely. In terms of my spec, I'm weapons expert, and I have critical chance 20 of those, 14 to critical attack damage, 20 into critical power chance, 10 into critical power magnitude, 235 skill points into precision, not might and power, precision, and 91 into vitalization. Okay, so I'll get on to the loadout. So for my loadout, I have temporal extortion for the group power heal and the group weapon buff. I'll get onto this more in a minute with the group weapon buff side of things. Warped reality, singularity for the controller debuff, the defense debuff, warp barrage for a damage debuff. This will be pretty important in high rounds of survival mode. Quantum tunneling, although I will say that if you're in round 26 against Black Manta, you should switch this out probably for Amazonian Defection. Otherwise, keep with Quantum tunneling. It's very handy to have in survival mode for the shield and for the teleport. It's really useful in certain situations. And of course, Event Horizon, you'll need that for your group power heal and for your group shield in certain situations, especially if you're trying to pick up people. It comes in very handy. The only downside to this loadout is that you don't have a supercharged generator, unlike with some other controller power sets, and you don't have a heal debuff. Now, heal debuff you don't really need for survival mode, but the supercharged gen, it's a cost, but for this sort of spec, you definitely want the defense and the attack debuffs. You need the teleport, you need the group shield, and you need these two buffs. Okay, so if I go to my gear, first of all, so I've got affinity mod bonuses. I've got precision for both type A and B. Again, I want that extra damage and that extra stat on my precision. Debuff efficiency for the power for the debuffs, and also the power strategist for the extra power again. I have more or less DPS gear. I have my op helm and op back, and pretty much DPS gear for most of this. So it's all elite gear. I'm max CR. The only thing I'm missing is the vendor utility belt, vendor ring, and vendor dual wield. And then if you know, so in terms of base mods, you've got blast out to so the damage base mod for weapon. You'll need this for the extra damage as battle controller. Critical warp reality, again for the extra critical strike chance for warp reality. Relentless precision, again if ideally you can go might battle troll, but you more or less will want to be precision battle troll, because it's just easier, it's more flexible, and it does more damage, I guess, as well. So when you're doing those higher rounds, it'll take the time off a little bit. Accelerated warp reality from the back mod, so that's again very handy to have. Obviously, the quicker you can get warp reality back into your rotation, the better. And also you clip that with your group power buff, which I'll get to in a minute. Penetrating strikes, I think this is much more preferred for precision than core strength. You can go for either, but personally I go for penetrating strikes. Restorative quantum tunneling, of course, if you're going to be teleporting to res someone, that extra bit of health you'll get back from the teleport will be really handy to have. And so for feet, Tumbling Master, I mean, if you're doing survival mode, I mean, just in general, Tumbling Master is generally quite good at the moment. You can use that and get out of the way of like a charge, or you know, it saves you using quantum tunneling. If you're using quantum tunneling in certain situations to get out of the way of something like a charge or something, you can use Tumbling Master instead. It just saves you a little bit of power, which you can put more towards debuffing the boss or just buffing yourself, so you can keep doing your rotation with your dual wheel flurry shot. Max damage for your hands mod. This again increases your damage. And you want flex sodas. I mean, you can go with like the rank 8 if you've got the rank 8 bottle city soda, that would be handy to have as well. Personally, again, it's all about that extra precision. It's very handy to have, so I go with that. In terms of artifacts, you want the Claw of Aelklund. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. That would be very handy to have because you'll get that extra percentage of might, resto, and dominance for your group, and it's much more viable for battle controller than other artifacts are. You don't necessarily, especially if you're doing survival mode, you don't really need the extra power to be a power controller. So having this will be a very useful thing to have. You don't necessarily need to have it at 120. You have to have it at 120, I mean, and if you can get to 160, great, but if you have it at 120, that will be good enough because you'll still be applying it to the other 3 party members in your group, which obviously survival mode is 4-man at the moment, so that will be very handy to have. Your other artifacts, Venom Wrist Dispenser, this will be very good damage. Obviously, again, that extra precision, that weapon buff, which you got warp reality for, and so that will be very handy to have. Ideally, have it at 160. If you have it lower, then it's not a biggie, but 160 is very handy for when Venom Wrist Dispenser for that extra damage burn against, especially in the higher rounds of survival mode. Amulet of Rao. These are for the debuffs. You want your debuffs to be really good. Obviously the higher debuffs are better for the higher rounds of survival mode, or just generally if you're running like say alert and you're doing like silent school with phases 1 the shields, or if you're doing the 50-second feat vampire lord, or you just want to do the last boss as quick as possible in darkness rising alert, again very handy to have these artifacts very handy to have the battle troll spec in general because they'll come in very handy, and I'd recommend having a separate battle controller armory to your normal power controller armory. So my pets, I've got a Shadow Pack which I got from round 25. I uploaded that the other day. I'll link that in my description as well. This is a very strong pet to have. You can go with the green crystal turret. You get that in survival mode as well. I think I have that somewhere. That's a shadow snake. Yeah, so green crystal turret is there. That's very handy to have as well if you're wanting to that extra burst damage. It does really help. The only thing is that if you use it and then the tank pulls the boss away, then it's stationary, it won't do anything. So it's useful as long as it's stationary there and the boss is there the whole time. Otherwise it's a bit like an orbital strike, like a second orbital strike. It's useful, but only if it's in a certain position at a certain time. What else do I have? So orbital strike, don't use Zeus. I know there's been a few videos where I've used Zeus. Don't use Zeus. Any other orbital strike will do. I just have a normal one. I'm hoping to get the shadow one soon. Supply drop. This again, you can use this apart from if there's bosses that you don't really want to use a supply drop for. So for example, Vampire Lord, you don't use a supply drop. Deathstroke, you don't use a supply drop because it will activate a mechanic for them, which could be tricky to work around. And for I've got the damage artifact buff, not artifact buff, the vendor buff, as opposed to the controller buff, because that will be very handy to have as well. Again, it's for that extra might and precision. So if I go back to my base, so if I go to my generator mod, definitely want to fill those up. Okay, so you want power generator mods. This is generally the case because you want that extra power, especially if you're battle control. You don't have as much power to play with, but you still run enough to kind of be able to do rotations properly without too much issue. You want your vitalization mods for this, and again, these to be updated to the most recent DLC, the Fellowship of the Arcane generator mods. And precision, you want again for the extra damage. Again, quantum DPS side is very much a might focus DPS. You will probably want that for, I mean, you can have that handy if you're going to be might DPS for quantum, but personally for troll, even just doing power troll, having that precision is really handy. Really doing your flourish, dual flourish shot and all that kind of stuff. Affinity mods, I think I said them earlier, so 2 precision, debuff efficiency and power strategist. Okay, so if I go back to legal, so first of all, I want to point out that the group weapon buff and the weapon buff you need to clip together. If you just do warp reality, my prep goes up to 40,620 from 24,334. If I just do the group weapon buff, my prep will only go up to 28,078 from 24,334. However, if I do both at the same time, my prep will then go up to 44,364, so it's much higher. So that's kind of where you want to be in terms of that. So you want to make sure, so you're not doing that, you're doing both, you're clipping them both together, because if you make a mistake there, it obviously will cost you your precision there for your damage out when you're doing your battle controller rotations. So like that. Well, you can use debuffs as well, debuffs are handy to use as well, and you just keep doing that. Yeah, I'll just talk more about the temporal extortion. So it's a group power heal, it's also a group weapon buff. So it gives instant power to your group, and then obviously in control role it says down there, increase your weapon attack damage, might, dominance and resto for you and 3 group members with the highest power percentage for a short time. This is very handy to have, especially when you have it clipped with warp reality, and then again with the Claw of Oakland artifact. I mean, battle troll is definitely going to be more specific as a single target. So if I go to a single target ad, again it's the same thing. Okay, another thing I want to point out is you want to check your stats when you're fully buffed, so you're ready to go. So I'll use my damage buff, my 2 buffs, and my soda. So my precision is now 55,093, which is very high. It's like that for a short time, and then it'll go back down. And obviously because I've got the prec buff, it will go back down to 25,174 precision. This is my stat with the buff, the flex soda included as well. So it's a good stat to have. It's, you know, it's going to do some decent damage. It's not going to be like, you're not going to be like topping the scoreboard necessarily if you're up against another like normal precision DPS in survival mode, but it's certainly going to help to have your battle troll stats that high. And definitely against single target it's very handy. Thank you guys for tuning in to watch this video. Hope you found it useful. Please feel free to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and who knows, maybe I'll do more commentaries in the future. If you have any feedback about this video, please let me know in the comments below as well. Constructive feedback. Take care guys. I'll probably leave some footage from rounds 21 to 25 at the end of the video just to show Battle Troll in action. And once again, a shout out again to Ydra and ObsidianChill for their help as well. So thank you guys and take care. Thank you.